30,000 meals. That is how many a single cruise ship serves every single day. We are talking 4,000 lobster tails, 15,000 croissants, and 3,200 slices of pizza per hour, all flowing out of 23 kitchens staffed by over 400 chefs. And a massive chunk of it ends up in the trash, or ground into a slurry, or pumped straight into the ocean at 4 in the morning while passengers sleep. Cruise industry welcomed 34.6 million passengers in 2024. That is 34.6 million people eating 3 or more meals a day on floating cities with unlimited buffets. So what actually happens to all the food they do not finish? The answer involves biodigesters, AI cameras, international maritime law, and a 4-hour rule that sends perfectly good food to the bottom of the sea. To understand the waste, you first have to understand the sheer scale of food that goes onto these ships. Royal Caribbean's Icon of the Seas, currently the largest cruise ship on the planet, leaves the port of Miami carrying 130,000 pounds of food. That is 65 tons of ingredients loaded onto a single vessel for a single voyage. The ship has over 40 restaurants and bars, 23 separate kitchens, and 425 chefs cooking around the clock. A typical large cruise ship with around 6,000 passengers and crew loads roughly 500 pallets of food per week at a cost of about $1 million. That weekly haul includes 30 tons of meat, 28 tons of vegetables, 15 tons of seafood, 20,000 eggs, 5,000 pounds of French fries, and 40,000 desserts daily. And here is the kicker. Ships carry enough food on board for 3 full cruises as a safety buffer. So at any given moment, there is an almost absurd amount of food packed into the kitchens and cold storage areas below deck. Now, feeding thousands of people 3 meals a day, plus snacks, plus room service, plus late-night pizza is already a logistical feat. But the real problem starts when all that food hits the buffet line. This is the detail that changes how you think about cruise buffets forever. Once food has been placed on a cruise ship buffet, it can never go back to the kitchen. Maritime hygiene regulations require that any food that has been displayed must be discarded within 4 hours, even if nobody touched it. Even if that entire tray of shrimp cocktail is still perfectly cold and perfectly untouched. 4 hours on the buffet line, and it is done. This is not some optional guideline. This is a strict safety regulation, and it exists for good reason. Thousands of people cycling through a buffet in a warm environment creates real food safety risks. But the consequence is staggering waste. Studies have shown that people waste 135% more food when large buffet plates are available compared to smaller ones. The all-you-can-eat psychology of cruise dining encourages passengers to pile their plates high, try everything, and leave behind whatever they do not love. Researchers found that overcrowding at peak meal times and simple fear of missing out drive passengers to take far more than they can eat. The result is roughly 20,000 kilograms of food waste per 1-week cruise, according to data from Winnow Solutions, a company that deploys AI waste tracking systems on ships. Academic research published in the journal Biomass Conversion and Biorefinery puts the figure at about 1.4 kilograms of food waste per person per day. Royal Caribbean alone reported generating 53,655 cubic meters of food waste in 2022. To put that in perspective, that is enough to fill 14 Olympic swimming pools, just from one cruise line. Across the entire industry, with nearly 35 million passengers annually, conservative estimates suggest cruise ships collectively generate somewhere between 150,000 and 300,000 metric tons of food waste every single year. But where does it all go? That is where things get really interesting. If you were imagining dumpsters and trash bags, think again. Modern cruise ships have some surprisingly sophisticated technology working around the clock below deck. The primary weapon against food waste on most major cruise lines today is the biodigester. These machines, often called stainless steel stomachs, are essentially tanks filled with colonies of microorganisms that break down food waste through aerobic digestion. You throw food in, and within 24 hours, the microorganisms have converted it into gray water that can be safely discharged. Carnival Corporation, the largest cruise company in the world, has installed over 630 of these biodigesters across its 9 cruise line brands. Princess Cruises Sun. Princess alone has 26 biodigesters processing 6,000 kilograms of food waste every single day. Disney Cruise Line has confirmed biodigesters on all of its ships. For the stuff that biodigesters cannot handle, like bones, fruit rinds, and animal fats, cruise lines use industrial food dehydrators. Carnival operates over 90 dehydrators and dryers across its fleet. These machines reduce the volume of waste by roughly 90%, turning it into a dry substance that looks like coffee grounds. That material gets offloaded at port for composting. But here is the part that surprises people. Not all the food waste stays on the ship. If you are finding this useful, hit like and subscribe. Now let me tell you about what happens at 4 in the morning. Under international maritime law, specifically MARPOL Annex 5, administered by the International Maritime Organization, cruise ships are legally allowed to dump food waste directly into the ocean. There are rules, but they are more permissive than you might expect. If food waste is ground up to pass through a 25mm screen, it can be discharged into the sea when the ship is more than 3 nautical miles from the nearest shore. If the food is not ground up, the minimum distance is 12 nautical miles. The ship has to be moving, but that is about it. In designated special areas, which include the Mediterranean Sea, the Baltic Sea, the Black Sea, the North Sea, the Red Sea, the Caribbean, and Antarctic waters, the rules tighten up. Ground food waste can only go overboard beyond 12 nautical miles, and unground food waste discharge is completely banned. But in the open ocean, fair. A member of a major cruise forum described watching crew members screening leftover food for inedible materials, chopping it up, and throwing it off the side of the ship at 4 a.m. Environmental groups like Friends of the Earth describe the standard process as food waste being ground up and mixed with water until liquefied by an industrial grinder, then pumped out of the ship while at sea. This is not illegal. This is the system as designed. And the environmental consequences are real. When thousands of kilograms of nutrient-rich food waste hit the water, it does not just disappear. The nitrogen and phosphorus in decomposing food feeds algal blooms on the ocean surface. Those blooms block sunlight from reaching underwater plants. When the algae eventually dies, bacteria consume it and suck the dissolved oxygen out of the water, creating what scientists call hypoxic dead zones, areas where marine life simply cannot survive. A peer-reviewed study published in Marine Pollution Bulletin found that ships' food waste in the Baltic Sea alone contributes roughly 182 tons of nitrogen and 34 tons of phosphorus annually. That represents over half of the total nitrogen load from all ship-generated sewage in those waters. NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, has identified more than 700 dead zones worldwide. The Great Barrier Reef has lost 70% of its hard corals over the past century, and eutrophication from nutrient runoff is one of the contributing factors. The 2024 Friends of the Earth cruise ship report card evaluated 21 cruise lines and 243 ships. Only one company earned higher than a C grade. Hurtigruten, the Norwegian expedition cruise line, received a B+. 5 brands under the Carnival Corporation umbrella received F grades. Royal Caribbean earned a D-. Now, before this starts to feel completely hopeless, there is a technology revolution happening in cruise ship galleys that is genuinely changing the picture, and it is working faster than most people realize. The most advanced weapon in the fight against cruise food waste is artificial intelligence, and it is already deployed on ships right now. Winnow Vision is the most widely used AI waste tracking system at sea. It works like this. Marine-grade stainless steel scales sit underneath kitchen waste bins, and a camera mounted above uses computer vision to automatically identify food items as they are thrown away. No manual input required. The system even has a proprietary algorithm called wave filter that compensates for the ship rocking back and forth, which would otherwise throw off the scale readings. All that data uploads to the cloud, generating daily reports that show the galley team exactly which food items are being wasted the most, by weight and by cost. Fleet-wide dashboards let executives compare waste across ships, voyages, and individual kitchens. Costa Cruises was the first to adopt Winnow back in 2017, and the results were dramatic. Cruise ships using the system have seen 40 to 70% food waste reduction within 6 to 12 months, along with a 2 to 8% drop in food purchasing costs. Another system called Lean Path takes a slightly different approach. Galley staff weigh waste on a connected scale and select the food type and reason for disposal on a touchscreen. UniWorld Boutique River Cruises rolled Lean Path across all 11 of its ships between 2021 and 2023 and achieved a 41% reduction, preventing over 50,000 kilograms of waste, the equivalent of 93,000 meals, at a cost of just $4,000 per ship per year. Royal Caribbean's AI goes even further. Their proprietary platform predicts food needs down to individual ingredients using passenger demographics, weather patterns, itinerary data, and booking information. On Icon of the Seas, this system achieved an 86% food utilization rate, meaning only 14% of prepared food goes uneaten. That is remarkably efficient for a ship serving 30,000 meals a day. But the most futuristic technology is not about reducing waste. It is about turning waste into power. Royal Caribbean's Icon of the Seas features something no cruise ship has ever had before: a microwave-assisted pyrolysis system. In plain English, it is a machine that converts food waste into synthesis gas and biochar using targeted microwave energy, and that gas generates approximately 200 kilowatts of electricity. That is enough to partially power the ship's water park. Your leftover pasta is literally keeping the water slides running. Celebrity Apex, also under the Royal Caribbean Group, took a different approach with a hydrothermal oxidation system. This technology subjects waste to extreme pressure and temperature, essentially disintegrating it into water and dust. No incineration, no smoke, no ash. It just ceases to exist as food waste. And then there is Hurtigruten, the Norwegian cruise line that is quietly embarrassing the entire industry. At the port of Stamsund in Norway's Lofoten Islands, Hurtigruten installed a compost reactor that converts up to 250 kilograms of food waste daily into fertilizer within 24 hours. That fertilizer goes to a nearby farm called Miklavik, where produce is grown and then returned to Hurtigruten ships. It is a fully closed-loop circular food system. Waste from the ship feeds the soil grows the food goes back on the ship. That is not a sustainability brochure talking point. That is actually happening right now in northern Norway. So who is actually walking the walk? Carnival Corporation leads on measurable results. Their Less Leftover program hit a 44% reduction in food waste per person by 2024, beating their 40% target a full year early. That has saved over $250 million in food costs. Their subsidiary Costa Cruises runs a food donation partnership with Fondazione Banco Alimentare, delivering over 300,000 ready-to-eat meal portions to food banks across 16 Mediterranean and Caribbean ports since 2017. Royal Caribbean's Win on Waste program reported a 33% reduction by early 2024, with a target of 50% by 2025. Their Green Hub program operates in 33 ports worldwide, diverting 92% of waste from landfills. Hurtigruten is in a league of its own. They went from 261 grams of food waste per guest in 2019 to just 63 grams in 2023. That is a 76% reduction, approaching near zero waste territory. And Virgin Voyages? They took the most radical approach possible. They eliminated buffets entirely. No buffet means no 4-hour discard rule. Problem solved by design. But Norwegian Cruise Line and MSC Cruises publish far less specific data on food waste reduction, making it harder to evaluate their actual progress. When a company does not share its numbers, that silence tells a story too. Here is the thing about cruise ship food waste. The technology to solve it already exists. AI prediction systems, biodigesters, waste-to-energy converters, closed-loop composting, even just getting rid of the buffet altogether. Carnival proved you can cut waste by 44% and save $250 million doing it. Hurtigruten proved you can get food waste down to the weight of a smartphone per guest per day. The question is not whether the cruise industry can fix this. It is whether 310 ships across dozens of cruise lines will actually do it, and how fast. Because right now, while some ships run AI cameras in the galley and turn leftovers into electricity, others are still grinding up uneaten food at 4 in the morning and pumping it into the ocean. If you want to see another deep dive into what really happens behind the scenes on cruise ships, that video is on screen right now. Subscribe so you do not miss it.